I just think that his form is stronger. I think he's a very good horse, and I don't think we've seen the best of him yet.
I'm just going to go with Lossiemouth. There is that worry with Constitution. He's a machine of a horse, but he had a pretty decent fall last time, and I'm going to go with Lossiemouth.
Barry, when we recorded at Lucinda Russell's last week, we recorded an episode of this show. You were very sweet on Iroko, if memory serves. Has anything happened in between times to diminish your enthusiasm for him?
Only the fact that AP is so sweet on I am Maximus.
Hello, welcome to Inside Track, brought to you by William Hill, where we're going to be previewing the 2025 Grand National Festival at Aintree, where William Hill are proud to be the official betting partner. I'm Nick Luck. Joining me, fellow William Hill ambassadors, Sir AP McCoy and Barry Geraghty. And we're going to kick things off with an offer, or should that be offers, because William Hill have a top price guarantee for each day of the Grand National Festival. You can get a free £10 bet for day 2 of the action when you stake £10 on the opening day. Terms and conditions apply. Last but not least, William Hill had more top prizes than any other major bookmaker at the Cheltenham Festival, as verified by Odds Checker. That's proper value. Now, that's out of the way. Let's start our preview with Thursday's action. All right, let's go then. Thursday, and we kick off with that top price guarantee race. It is the 145, the Mildmay course in use here, of course, for the EBC Group Manifesto Novices Chase. And at this stage, Django Bay, the crazy Arkle winner, is just about the favourite, but he's going to be taken on by a whole clutch of horses that didn't go to Cheltenham. Croke Park second at the DRF, Gidley Park, who was brilliant beating Caldwell Potter at Windsor, and Ampere Pass, who has the cheek pieces on for the first time and was a winner here at this festival last year. Sir Anthony McCoy, take first go at a race that is by no means easy.
By no means easy, Nick. There's no doubt that Django Bay will be better over this trip. He'll probably be, the ground. I think the weather we're having now definitely suits Nicky Henderson's horses, but he has been to Cheltenham. He was a very strange winner of the Arkle. Do you know what? I think I'll just go with Imperi Pass. He didn't jump with any fluency last time at Naberstown behind Croke Park, obviously that day, but he has got cheek pieces on. Paul Tannen's back on him, maybe a little bit fresher. And he was a better hurdle. He won over here. He won the Aintree last year over hurdles. So I'm just going to side with Imperi Pass.
Barry, how about you?
Yeah, well, it's a very competitive race, and you have lots of Grade 1 winners, and Croke Park has to be respected. But personally, I just feel, I know connections think he does some 1-3 mile. I think he needs further than 2.5 around Aintree. But the one I'm drawn to who comes here really fresh, I mean, Gidley Park. And that Caldwell Potter form has worked out so well. I just fear Django Bay slightly. He did have a tough race at Cheltenham. It's not ideal. It's a quick enough turnaround. Imperial Pass, he does need to jump better, but I suppose he never really excited me with his jumping. He's not the scopiest individual in the world, so I'm going to go with Gidley Park and hope he can, recapture that form that he showed at Windsor, because he's been a little bit hit and miss.
He has, and he's had fibrillating heart problems, but Harry Fry's been very patient with him. I'm with you, Barry. I think Gidley Park might have a bit more pace than some of these. AP likes Ampere Pass. It's a tough start to proceedings in the Manifesto. Now, the Bowl, the Brooklands Golden Miller Chronograph Bowl, 2:55 the off time, the feature chase on the first day. Every single one of these horses, bar the real whackers. So 7 out of the 8 are rated above 160. Barry, this is a terrific race. You and I were with Lucinda last week. Ahoy Senor's got a great record at Aintree and in this race. We've got Gaelic Warrior up in trip, though Paul Townend has chosen Embassy Gardens, Spillans Tower, who missed Cheltenham, Grey Dawning, who missed Cheltenham, Stage Star, who missed Cheltenham. We're riffing on a theme here.
Yeah, it's a tricky race. You say High Senior, great form at Aintree, but his recent form is desperate. Grey Dawning is a very good horse, but if you look back through his wins, I know he beat Iroko last time, but he beat Genie's Destiny last season at the Cheltenham Festival. He beat Apples Away prior to that. I just don't think he's had to face the quality maybe that Spillans Tower has done. Spillans Tower beat Monty Starr at Punchestown last season, who obviously was second in the Ryanair. But then you have, his form behind the John Durkin, behind Factor File, really strong form. So, no, I just think our side, Monty Starr was 4th in the Gold Cup, should I say. But I just think that his form is stronger. I think he's a very good horse, and I don't think we've seen the best of him yet.
Sir AP, this is the race that's going to be run at a furious gallop. There's loads of speed on here. Where do you want to be sat, and who do you want to be sat on?
Look, the question mark was Balance Tower, as they said he didn't travel very well to Kempton, and that's always a worry. The fact that maybe that he's been to Kempton and experienced that, and maybe coming back again this time, that have learned a few things that might have done differently. I think it's obviously not in Ireland, but I think if this race was run in Ireland, I think he'd be the one. I think he's the one that's got the most potential. He's the one that's kind of the least exposed, if you like. Ahoy Senior is a good horse around here, as you said. Gaelic Warrior, Stage Star. I think I would, if I was nailing my colours to the mask, I think I'd go with Balance Tower. Grey Dawning is a good horse, but Barry said there is a little. You can't pick holes in his form a little bit. I think Balance Tower is the one that the potential. I don't think we've just seen the full potential yet. And that run in the John Durkin was pretty good, and I think that sort of form would be good enough to win.
All right, for Jimmy Mangan, the man who trained the 2003 Grand National winner, ridden by Barry Geraghty, Monty's Pass. Balance Tower in the bowl for Barry and for AP. I quite like Great Dawning. I think he's just had the best prep for the race, but it's a really, really tough race. The Golden Miller Bowl at 2:55. The 3:30 is the William Hill Aintree Hurdle. The sponsors have got plenty for their money here, with Constitution Hill taking on Lossiemouth and Wadhoo and a bunch of other horses that could give some shape to the race. But it's not about the shape of the race, it's about the result. Sir AP, are you sticking with Constitution Hill after the fall at Cheltenham, or over 2.5 miles can you see Lossiemouth building? Or maybe Wadhoo?
Well, who's definitely a big improver. God, really impressive at Cheltenham. That's for sure. Definitely a big improver. You got to look at who's form figure, last seven. It's unbelievable. But much tougher task here with Constitution Hill. There is that worry that he had that fall in Cheltenham, obviously, because it was a fair fall. But I have seen him schooling since, and he has been good at home. I watched him. Nicky Henderson's on Tuesday morning, I think it was, and he seemed to jump well, and Nicky was very happy with him. But I just think that Lossiemouth coming here, having her confidence boosted in Cheltenham, and over this trip, there's just that little question mark. Look, I'm just going to go with Lossiemouth. There is that worry about Constitution Hill. He's a machine of a horse, but he had a pretty decent fall last time, and I'm going to go with Lossiemouth.
Okay, Lossiemouth for AP to take on Constitution Hill. What do you make of that, Barry Geraghty? You're not going to like the sound of that, are you?
Well, sure. No, you can see where you can make a case. Obviously, Constitution Hill had a heavy fall at Cheltenham, but I know an AP's seen the schooling he's done, and I know the level of schooling that would have been done in 7 bars since. So you'd like to think things are going to go smoothly on that front. I suppose he wasn't. His least impressive win to date has been this race 2 years ago when he did make the running. So I can't imagine they're going to make the running this time round, but his best foot forward with a clear round, I think it's going to be very hard to beat. He's probably beaten Lossiemouth on her terms over 2.5. I think it gives her every chance, but I just don't see her having the gears to match Constitution Hill.
Okay, so Constitution Hill 1 vote, Lossiemouth 1 vote. I must be tempted by a tiny little bet on Wadhoo at the current odds. She is improving so far. She was so impressive in the Martin Pipe. I just think she's got what it takes to make up into a Grade 1 performer. Whether it's this day, I don't know, but I certainly wouldn't rule her out. On to the Randox Foxhunters then at 4:05. Ireland have a stranglehold at the top of the market with Lifetime Ambition for Pat Doyle and Gordon Elliott's Will It Go Ahead. Then My Drogo, who was a very good horse back in the day, still has the highest official rating. Will Biddick riding for Ed Walker. Famous Claremont, Chris Barber and James King is a horse who's got wonderful form over these fences already. Defending champ Joker de May for David Maxwell, who's been second in the race a few times. Barry, I'll let you have first stab at this.
Yeah, obviously a couple of, seasoned horses who probably, through injury and whatnot, haven't got to fulfill their true potential, being My Drogo. Very good horse, but we haven't seen much of him. He hasn't much experience even over fences and even in point to point. So, a lot taken on trust with him, but Lifetime Ambition is a horse I like a lot. He was a really smart novice for Jesse Harrington, jumps really well. He was fourth to Al Dancer in the Grand Seft, and he was unseated when hampered behind Corrick Rambler in the Grand National. He's going to love it around here, and he's a horse with a lot of pace. Rob James rides him too, which is a very notable booking. So I would like Lifetime Ambition, but I would have respect for My Drogo. As you say, General Claremont, it's a good race.
AP?
Yeah, I mean, the one I'd love to see when Joker de May for David Maxwell won at Leicester last time. I think that would be a good story. I think my Drogo is a horse that obviously had a lot of potential, and the fact that he's after getting his head in front the last couple of times I think he's a horse that's got a lot of class, and I think he could be the one to beat.
Okay, well, there's a horse who is aptly named in here who I think deserves a bit of attention. It's, I mean, 6,600 to 1, whatever you like at the moment, just each way. 12-year-old, senior citizen, but he hasn't had much racing. He's been placed over these fences twice before in a Topham and a Sefton. This is the perfect trip for him. He absolutely bolted up in his point-to-point last time. They've tidied up his win since then. Alan Hill knows what it takes to get one to run well round here. Josh Newman's a top amateur rider, outside the front of the market, 66 to 1, a little bit of value each way. Senior citizen. On we go then to Friday, and again a reminder that our first race here is a top price guarantee race, and it is the Mildmay Novices Chase. That's the opening race on Friday. Another cracking day when the feature race, of course, over the big fences is the Topham, but we get underway as we do most days with this Mildmay Novices Chase. The race title is so long that the commentator probably will have finished reading it and they'll have done a circuit. Handstands missed Cheltenham, goes to Aintree on a 4-timer. Ben Jones and Ben Pauling, the Grade 1 Silly R's winner. Caldwell Potter got in a brilliant rhythm over 2.5 at Cheltenham, up to 3 miles here. Very solid Stellar Story. Dancing City, bit disappointing in the Brown Advisory. Don't rightly know. Older mare from a smaller yard, only 11 to 1. Sir AP, Handstands has been saved for this. Is patience going to be a virtue for Ben Pauling and co?
Yeah, he looks like a horse, Nick, that's crying out for the 3 miles. Like he won in Sandown over 3 miles, and he was good beating Django by last time. He's coming here a fresh horse. Caldwell Potter got a new lease of life, jumped brilliant in Cheltenham, got a brilliant ride from Harry Cobden. I think the win is going to do his confidence the world of good. Did he look like he would be, with the trip kind of suit him? It kind of did. He did get in a great rhythm, but whether he'd be able to ride him as forward and as aggressively over this trip, I think Stellar Story is a pretty solid horse. I thought he ran really well in Cheltenham when he was second to Lecky Watson. He needs to improve again on that run. I'll probably take a chance with Stellar Story. I think he's a good solid horse, and I think he could be thereabouts. I think he'd be the one I'd pick.
How did you read this, Barry?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Handstands. Obviously a good performance against Django Bay and Sandown the last time in the Scilly Isles. His only disappointment today was at the Cheltenham Festival last season when he bombed out behind Ballyburn. He'd won the Sydney Banks prior to that in Huntington. He's got good progressive form. I think the trip will be ideal for him, ground likewise, and coming here fresh now. I think he'd be the one to beat, but I would have good respect for Caldwell Potter. He was a comfortable winner at the festival. He didn't have a tough time. As AP mentions, going up and trip, whether that's going to suit his rhythm and his jumping, maybe he won't be able to ride him as aggressively, but he's definitely of interest. But no, I'm a Handstands fan.
Okay, good shout then for Handstands. I like Caldwell Potter here in this race, and we will move on to the 220, which is the William Hill Handicap Hurdle. Well, this is, as you would expect, hugely competitive, massive field. You could fashion a case for most of these, Barry, in truth. Where did your pin land?
Yeah, I like Impotspot. Good run last time at the festival. Only touched off by Jimmy Desai. Probably got competitive earlier than ideal. I'd say if Nicholas do it again, he might just wait a little bit longer. But that to me is solid form. The other one I like in there who's been very consistent, has good form in flat tracks and could be a bit of each way value is Steel Alley. Really good form all season, and I think we'll love it on Aintree.
Yeah, I love that horse. Be safe for this as well. Sir AP, Impostoir is likely to be one of the market leaders. Not quite sure what we can expect from Kopek to me after the blowout at Cheltenham, but I suppose if you thought he was well handicapped going there, you probably think he's well handicapped coming here.
Yeah, big question marks though, Nick, about him. Impostoir is a very solid horse. I know Be Aware was really well fancied, obviously, at Cheltenham and never really got involved, you'd have to say. I actually think there's a horse of John Joe's here that could run well at a good price. Reckless Eric was a little bit unlucky in the Imperial Cup at Sandown. Was a bit short of room and kind of missed the last. And I think it was Go Dante just beat him of Ollie Murphy's. I think the trip might help him. I think at 12 to 1, I could see him running I could see him running a huge race. But Impostoir is probably the solid horse on that run at Cheltenham. But I do think Reckless Eric is a really good each way shot at for John O'Neill and Keelan Woods.
The honest truth is, I haven't got a clue what's going to win this race, but I would just put in a good word for the mare, Listen to Your Heart, who I thought probably needed the run at Kelso last time. Harry Atkins is a, well, not very secret weapon, but a weapon for £7 and might just be the one of the Skeletons who've got such a good record in races such as this. We then move on Friday. We're going to have a look at the top Novices Hurdle, which takes place at 2:55. And again, it's a race that we haven't really got a very clear idea on in terms of the market as yet. But Romeo Coolio, I'm sure, will start favourite after that very good run at the Cheltenham Festival. Lots of interesting horses against him. The mare Diva Luna, Tripoli Flyer is in there as well, who won the race at Kempton. Salvatore Mundi coming back in trip a little bit. AP, take us through this, and any reason why Romeo Coolio shouldn't win?
Not really, Nick. I think he's got the best form, pretty solid run behind Quebec de Boer in Cheltenham. I think that's by far the best form as we can see. Holy Flyer was a good winner at Kempton for Fergal O'Brien. Salvador Mundi ran okay in Cheltenham as well. I just think Romeo Coolio is pretty straightforward, and I think he'll be able to keep it pretty simple on him. I think the track will suit him all right, and yeah, I think he's the one to beat.
Barry, any disagreement there?
Yeah, no, I'd respect Romeo Coolio, but I think maybe Cheltenham might have been more of his place than Aintree. Flatter track, I think, could play its Tripoli Flyer strengths. Really impressive in Kempton, shows a lot of pace. Jumping probably needs to improve a little bit, but I think Tripoli Flyer can give Romeo Coolio a fright.
Okay, Tripoli Flight, give Romeo Coolio fright in the top Novices Hurdle. That's at 2:55. Then our feature outside the Grand National fences is the Melling Chase at 3:30 on Friday. And again, AP, it's all about your beloved John Bonn, undefeated away from Cheltenham.
Still trying to get over it, Nick, so I am. I think it's pretty straightforward. I genuinely believe he doesn't like being behind horses or being... I think his eye doesn't suit him. I actually watched him schooling behind horse the other morning, and it was like he'd never jumped the fence before. As soon as he got upside, it's a completely different horse. I don't know where it's concentration or whether he just doesn't see things right or whatever, but he jumps much better. Obviously, he's gone up and trip 2.5 miles, Protectorate. I don't know where he'll take him along. Matata likes to go forward, but I think John Bonn's the best horse, and I know he's got beaten 4 times in the ball at Cheltenham, but I don't think he'd have finished second at Cheltenham if he didn't like it that much. I just think it never went right. I think the race was lost at the start. Often say you can't win one at the start, but you can lose it. His was lost at the start in Cheltenham, so I am not going against him. I think he's got the best form. I think his run at Cheltenham obviously was a hard race trying to recover from that mistake, but still think he's the best.
If Matata, the outsider, who is a tearaway front runner, tries to rough him up on the front end, is that problematic or not?
As I said, I think it's more a case of, I think as long as he's got light and he's up there, you know what I mean? I think it's just the fact when he got in behind horses at Cheltenham, I think it didn't suit him. I didn't think being, I think he jumped into the horse in front of him a little bit at the first fence. He went across him a little bit, and I just never felt like his eye was on the ball, and I think with the small field in that, I don't think it'll be a problem.
Okay, Barry, can you see any situation in which John Bonn is defeated here?
No, I think it'll be worse luck than Cheltenham for him to get beaten here. No, everything's in his favour. He's going to be hard to beat. I think this trip is probably ideal from around a track like this. It's hard to make a case for Fabiolo on the form he's shown this season. Protectorate as well was well beaten last time. I would have expected Matata, who's stepping up from 2 miles to 2.5, to drop in, and for me would have the potential to possibly pick up the pieces at a fancy price and finish second to John Bonn.
Interesting. Okay, so that could just leave John Bonn alone in the lead as well. I don't think any of us can really conceive of defeat for John Bonn here unless El Fabiolo suddenly finds the old El Fabiolo, in which case he's a danger to just about any horse in training. That's quite straightforward. This isn't straightforward. The Topham Handicap Chase, which is being run this year in aid of Prostate Cancer UK. And it is no easier a test, Barry Geraghty, than it normally is. Were there horses leaping off the page at you here?
No, to be honest, they weren't. And I was drawn back to James de Borlée, who was just caught late on last year by Arizona Cardinal. He's £1 lower in the weights this season than he was last season. His form wasn't amazing going into this race last year either. So he definitely upped his form. He loves jumping these fences. He was brilliant around there last year, and as I say, only caught. So in what to me doesn't look like a vintage renewal, I'm going to go with James de Burley.
Yeah, James Mildmay, who gave me a great thrill for a long way last year, but not quite for long enough. AP, are there any improvers in here? Are there any horses who are on the way up?
Do you know, I remember watching not last year's Fiestas, the year before, and Glenn Gooley was second of Willie Mullins's, and I thought that day, God, he would be tailor made for a Topham, you know. But this year he unseated last time. In the Fiestas this year, he missed the start, never got going. I think it was Danny lost an iron at the start. But I do think it's a long time. It's hard to see it in his form, but I do think this race could suit Glenn Gooley of Willie Mullins's. Obviously, Willie's got a strong hand. He's got James de Burley, Blue Lord. But I actually think Glenn Gooley could roam well. Hard to see it in his form.
Glenn Gooley for AP, James de Burley for Barry, horses who've both run really well round here. There's one at a bigger price I might just bowl into the mix. It's Lounge Lizard. They did everything to get this horse prepared for this race last year, and they had to take him out on the morning of the race with a little injury. And I know this has been the target all year. Came back with a win last time. Likes good ground. Isn't completely straightforward, but no weight ground coming in his favour. And this has been the target for an awful long time. So that's the Topham, which takes place at 4:05 on Friday. So moving on to Grand National Day itself, and the top price guarantee race once again is the 120, which is the the clues in the title, the William Hill top price guarantee handicap hurdle. That is Saturday at Aintree at 120. We're going to have a look at that now. As we are recording this, we do not have the final declarations for this race, but it appears as though Dan Skelton is going to have a very heavy favourite here in Mr. Hope Street. So as things stand, need a few to come out, but they probably will. Sir Anthony McCoy, this is not straightforward, but nobody said it would be.
No, it's definitely not. Dan's horse was second at Newbury back in December. Definitely looks like this sort of trip would definitely suit him. He was held up at the back. I mean, it's a very open race. Jerry Coder, Rapine, Catcham Derry. They both ran in the Pertemps. They were second and third. Bill Joyce hasn't ran since he ran on trials there at Cheltenham with John Joes. I think he is a horse that definitely over this trip could definitely improve as well. I suppose I thought Jerry Coder Rapine travelled really well through the race in Cheltenham, and I do think that there's still a little bit of improvement. I know he went up £3 for that run in Cheltenham, but I think that Jerry Coder Rapine on this track, on the ground, I think he's got a lot in his favour. I think he could be hard to beat.
Barry?
Yeah, I like the horse was third just behind him, Catcham Derry. I thought he came from a long way back in Cheltenham and had a good bit of ground to make up from the turn in on the first two. And for me, Jericho the Repine, Nico had a lovely sit the whole way through the race, right position through. Likewise, Brian Hughes and Dottie the Great. So I just thought Catcham Derry came from a long way back, and just if he gets a clearer passage this time, and he's a longer straight in Aintree, so you have a little bit more time to weave your way through. So I think Catcham Derry could be value.
Okay, Catcham Derry for Barry. The one I quite like here is East India Express, another one for Nicky Henderson, who I thought was just done for a little bit of foot when really well backed and really well fancied in the Martin Pipe at Cheltenham. Now, he's a half-brother, this horse, to Surrey Quest, who wants every inch of 4 miles. And if they had 5-mile races, he'd probably want those as well. So I think this horse figures to improve for a step up to 3 miles. And Freddie Gordon knows him a little bit better now as well. So East India Express for me in that 120, which brings us to the big one itself, the Randox Grand National. I mean, you can give us your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here if you want, AP. Is there one horse that you've been sweet on all year for the Grand National?
Yeah, I am Maximus. I was sweet on him from the minute he crossed the winning post last year, Nick. And I went at the weights lunch. He was the one that I picked out. I know that obviously. I know the way you're thinking was behind him, or was in front of him, at Leopardstown, and he went on to win the Cheltenham Gold Cup. But I think he's, this has been his target again. Obviously, he's trained by Willie Mullins. He's got a lot going for him. I think he's a very classy horse. it's a very good race. It's become a very good race, and that I don't think he would have been out of place in the Gold Cup. I am Maximus had been trained for. You've got the likes of Hewitt, you've got Stumptown. He was a really impressive winner at Cheltenham, but I just think that I am Maximus just may have a bit more class than the rest of them. And I just thought the way he won last year, the way he went through the race, he's an Irish Grand National winner. He's been trained with this and just with one day in mind, and I do think he could win back-to-back Grand Nationals.
Wow, I am Maximus to go back-to-back for Sir AP. AP, while we're on the theme of JP McManus horses likely winning the Grand National, I mean, he's got probably 3 or maybe 4 shorter priced horses in the race. Iroko, Percival Le Gallois for the Gold Cup winning team. Meeting of the Waters is likely to be well backed as well. Of the supporting cast, who would you have the strongest feeling for?
I mean, there's a little question mark about Meeting the Waters. Obviously, I'd say staying. Percival Le Gallois has won really competitive handicap chases and hurdles and is in the form of his life. Iroko is another horse that's been targeted for this race. Looks like, he's not guaranteed to stay. He's obviously a former winner of a Martin Pipe, and he definitely looks like, he's capable of better over fences. He ran okay last time, but I just think that one thing that I am Maximus is, he's a very, very strong stayer. I know he's got plenty of weight. I think he deserves it. I just think he's got a lot of class, and I genuinely don't think, when I watched him win the Grand National last year, I thought he wouldn't have looked at a place in the Gold Cup. And it's been his target from the minute he pulled up. So those others, Iroko obviously is going to be very strongly fancied, and has got pretty solid form. As I said, you can make a case for Hewitt with the ground being, with the ground drying out. He's former King George winner. He's won all those other good handicap chases and won an America and all that. But I just think I am Maximus. He's the one.
I am Maximus to go back-to-back. Barry, when we recorded at Lucinda Russell's last week, we recorded an episode of this show. You were very sweet on Iroko, if memory serves. Has anything happened in between times to diminish your enthusiasm for him?
Only the fact that AP is so sweet on I am Maximus. Iroko, I think Iroko could be the best handicapped horse in the race. And the National probably isn't I don't think luck decides it as much as luck plays a big part, but I don't think it plays as big a part as it would have done before. So I think being the best handicapped horse in the race for me is a good starting point. He does jump well enough anyway. Made a mistake in Cheltenham back in December, but no, I like Iroko still. I'm happy with him. It is a very good race, and it's possibly even more depth to it this year than last year, I think. Stumptown has to be of interest. The ground is going to be water to soft. Whether that's slow enough for him, time will tell. But no, it's a great race. Brave Man's Game, I do like at a fancy price. He's down £15 from last season's Gold Cup. He was second in the Gold Cup. He's won a King George. He's a high class horse. He jumps really well too. He's got 11 stone. And I wouldn't have expected Harry Cobden to choose him over the horse he does ride, Can Do Kids, who won the Old Hennessy. So no, I think he's of interest, but I'm happy with Iroko.
All right, Iroko to beat Brave Man's Game for Barry. Sir AP, I am Maximus to back up in the Randox Grand National. I've gone with Intense Raffles, who won the Irish Grand National last year, and I think others who could run well in the race include a couple of Willie Mullinses, Grange Clare West and Minella Kakuna particularly, who I think will stay really, really well on nice ground. And I thought Monbeg Genius might scrape into the first 4 or 5. Those are our thoughts on the world's greatest steeplechase, the Randox Grand National, 4:00 Saturday. Don't miss it. That brings to an end our Inside Track Grand National Festival preview. A big thanks to Sir Anthony McCoy and Barry Geraghty for their insight. A reminder of William Hill's top price guarantee offer on each day of the festival. And finally, a big thank you to you for watching. Let us know what you think of our picks in the comments below. The show was brought to you by William Hill, 18+. Please gamble responsibly.